What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another trade breakdown video. I seem optimistic and happy, even though this was a losing trade. But I wanted to share this trade with you guys because I had so much validation on this trade and it still didn't go my way. And I want to express to you that this is normal and this is part of trading. And if you follow your rules and strategies, it's not always going to work because losing days are going to happen. Sometimes the market will just go against you, but that's the name of the game. And again, you just got to stay strong, keep the mental clarity, and move on. So in this trade, I actually ended up losing approximately $4,000, which is a ton of money. I mean, but it happens. I ended up actually taking another trade momentarily after, I think half a day later, because I saw another setup and made that money back, plus a little bit more, which I'll get to later on in this video. But I wanted to share with you guys exactly what I saw and why I took this trade and what actually ended up happening. Now, very quickly, guys, I trade on BYBIT, link in the description below if you need a platform to trade on. And if BYBIT's not available in your country, then I would suggest using Blowfin. Again, a link in the description below. Let's jump right into the chart, my losing trade that I'm so excited to share with you guys. There was a lot of sell pressure happening on ETH. ETH just absolutely dumped from $3,700 all the way to $3,300. It was almost an 8% dump in a day. Now, to be very clear, guys, some of my biggest losses in my trading career has always been because I'm trying to catch a reversal. Usually that is where you take on the most risk because the market can go against you. It's very difficult to time the bottom or even time the top, right? So you need a lot of validation and you need to be very, very patient. And in this case, I had almost 6 validations according to my rules and strategies. Again, according to my rules and strategies, and I lost the trade. And this is something that I'm working on, again, trying to be as patient as possible and try to time the execution of an entry with reversals in specific. But again, this trade just went against me. So there was a few things that I wanted to mention here. The first thing that I saw was that, okay, I see a lower low, a lower high, but then I see a higher low. So I'm like, okay, maybe there's something here. But then there's also something called a 3 drive, where you see tap number 1, tap number 2, and tap number 3. I'll leave a screenshot somewhere on the chart, but this is actually a textbook trade where you see 3 taps. It's called the 3 drive, and it could be a sign of a reversal. And when we see the 3 tap happening with a new higher low coming into place, you know, that was kind of validation number 2. The next thing I saw that made it even more promising was an inverted head and shoulder. So this is invert, shoulder, head, and shoulder. And if I was to just flip the chart for you, you'll kind of see what I mean. This is called a head and shoulders pattern. And in this case, it was an inverted head and shoulders pattern. And then it was also the psychological number of $3,300. You know, it was just holding so strong around this number. If we look on the 4-hour time frame, looking a little better in the moment. And then also support of 3,300. So what I could have waited for was at least maybe a break of trend here. And that could have been a little bit more promising, but it also could have faked out and then dumped as well. So I could have been, again, more patient with this trade and maybe just wait for more direction because, again, I just tried to time the bottom. And, you know, I have to be transparent, guys. I make mistakes. I'm not like bulletproof. This stuff happens. And it was kind of worth the risk to reward ratio here. Pretty much just set my stop loss at the most recent low. And I entered right around 33.15. And I had my stop pretty much right under this wick. Obviously, if it creates a new low, then it's no longer a higher low. It's now creating more lower lows. And the trend of the downfall will continue, right? So tight stop, pretty much like a, actually I was tighter than that. Yeah, so pretty much tight stop. And I was willing to just manually manage this trade. I was not willing to wait till full TP or even full stop loss. So what ended up happening? Well, very quickly, it just dumped. It just dumped and then it fully retraced. Yeah, actually, later on, it continued to dump. This made me feel a lot better because if I had just been swept to this previous low and then completely move up to the upside, that would have really hurt. But then that also meant that I just entered way too early and I probably should have just again, been more patient. But then if I was to be more patient, then all my validations that I used would have been invalid, right? The inverted head and shoulders wouldn't have been the case. The 3 drive would have been a 4 drive. Higher low would have not been the case. So I probably wouldn't have even used this entry, right? So this was a very complicated situation. Lost out on this trade. It happens. But what actually ended up making up for this trade later on was approximately half a day later. I think I waited about 6 hours. Again, I was just very patient. To be honest, I didn't even want to trade. I just didn't want to trade. But I was just kind of watching over my watch list, and I saw this setup on WIF. And pretty much WIF was continuing its massive sell-off as well because the whole market was tanking. And I noticed that WIF is now entering this territory where it has bounced many times. It's bounced here once, twice, 3 times. And there's been a lot of chop around this area as well. But considering that Bitcoin's like over 90 grand, it's still technically a bull market. When this was happening over here, Bitcoin was still like it's in the 50s and 60s range, right? So Bitcoin being over 90K, and I was monitoring Bitcoin as well, and Bitcoin was just very slowly bleeding. So I had a feeling that like the reversal was gonna happen soon. So I was willing to risk again, but this time I used much less leverage and I gave myself a lot more room for error. Key takeaway from this video is I want you to remember, if you're going to catch a reversal, even with 4, 5, 6 validations, lower the leverage. Lower the leverage until direction is clear. So that's what I did with WIF. I saw this entry and I'm like, hey, you know what? This is most likely bottom. And I gave myself plenty of room. I lowered my leverage and I came in originally with smaller size. As soon as I saw like this push up and it cleared these previous lows, I was willing to take the trade. So I entered at 153.8. I had my stop well under it. And this was momentum that just looked very promising, especially again, guys, this is a demand zone. The probability of a bounce here was high. How much of a bounce? We don't know. As soon as I saw this break happen, I pretty much just got out because I really don't know if this is going to continue dumping or not. Again, I'm catching a reversal. I kind of just got soured from the last one. I took what I was able to get. I used lower leverage. I sized in slowly and I was able to make up for my loss on the previous trade. And I made a little bit more on top, which was good enough for me. Made up for my last trade. Direction at this point is just not so promising. I really don't know what's happening. ETFs are selling off. Donald Trump's being inaugurated in about 2 weeks, and we could see a sell-off continue, maybe not. Things are just looking a little unclear. So I'm gonna take what I can get and call it a day. Okay, guys, so that pretty much wraps up my loss, why I took the trade, how I lost the trade, and then how I was able to make up for the trade just using a different strategy. And I wanna make it very clear to you guys, the demand zone strategy is a very, very good strategy. It's probably one of my biggest win rate strategies is just taking demand zone trades. You can always look for demand zones where taps have occurred, place limits, as long as you manage the trade, placing limits on these trades, and you can very quickly make profit. So in this case, it worked in my favor and I was happy with the win. So that pretty much wraps up today's video. If you guys enjoyed today's video, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, guys. And also, I'm very active on X, so make sure to follow me on X. I'll leave a link down in the description below. But with that being said, guys, it's your boy, Rashid Banks. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.